Malina was targeted for being very attractive. Mozart was targeted for being confident and talented. Miss Mellon was targeted for knowing something that could get a person into a lot of trouble. In this movie, someone is being targeted for refusing to accept or tolerate abusive behavior. This movie isn't about gang stalking, but some elements are very similar. There is stalking by proxy involved, by one spouse to another. It serves as an example of stalking by proxy, as well as the dangers of being set up to fall in love, marrying, and trying to separate from a psychopath. Most psychopaths seem normal until you become a threat, object of jealousy, get in the way, or reject him or her. You don't really know a psychopath until you become his or her victim. It also serves as an illustration of the many faces of a psychopath. How a person can indirectly stalk another person, and how other people could be used to stalk a target, as well as how the system can be manipulated and law enforcement used in a stalking by proxy campaign. The movie starts off with Slim, a waitress, at work in a diner. There is the stereotypical crude boss and seemingly slutty friend. Slim and her friend slash co-worker, Ginny, talk about moving on to better things like going back to school, but it's apparent that money is an issue. In the next scene, a customer walks in with a book and a rose. The customer had been there the day before and seems to be an admirer of Slim. He hits on her and tries to draw her into a conversation. Slim's reluctant because he's coming off as an asshole, and she's not really into him. Her friend tells her to go for him. She decides to listen to her friend and give the guy a chance. She converses with him and he offers her the rose. Nothing significant is happening in the scene. It's just an ordinary day at the diner. It's not unusual for a customer to hit on a waitress, and if Slim had made a big deal about it, she'd be considered weird, told to calm down, and take it as a compliment. Psychopaths use ordinary and normal events to test their targets and play their games. They exploit social norms and people being polite in public, work, and social settings. If Slim hadn't been at work, she could have blown him off with no problem. But because she was at work as a waitress, she had an obligation to interact with him to serve his food, pressure to be friendly or polite to him to give customer service, and to help keep the environment comfortable for all the other customers. That's a lot to handle when she has some jerk hitting on her. And he knew that. That social or societal bind is what psychopaths exploit and feed off of. He used that to force her to interact with him and maintain the interaction with him. He also knew that hitting on her was pushing the boundaries, but not to the point of exposing him or making him look bad. Waitresses getting hit on by customers was acceptable to most people, so if she got offended and lashed out at him, she probably would be the one who looked bad to others. It shouldn't be that way, but from her friend pressuring her to accept his advances, it is unfortunately the way things were. Psychopaths play with social norms and push the boundaries just enough to get their goal without looking like the bad guy, unless looking like the bad guy works to their advantage, as you'll see later on. Another customer who had been listening to the guy try to pick up Slim steps in and exposes the admirer for a fake. He asked the admirer how much the bet was for. It appears that the admirer had made a bet with another guy that he would get Slim in bed by the next day. The knight in shining armor is tough, roughs up the fake admirer, and tells him never to come back to the diner again. Slim is shocked and tells the supposed knight in shining armor she's surprised he said something. He said he would have felt bad if he hadn't said anything, wishes her luck, and leaves, seemingly expecting nothing in return. Slim's friend gets all gushy and tells her to go after him. The next scene shows the knight in shining armor and Slim's wedding day. The name of the knight in shining armor is Mitch. It turns out that Slim's mother died and her father left when she was a toddler. Mitch's family paid for the wedding. Mitch and Slim are dancing, and she asks him if he's sure he's in love with her, and he says, uh-huh. Then she adds forever and ever, and he replies that she is safe with him and that it's okay to be happy. Slim's ex-boyfriend Joe is dancing with her friend / co-worker Ginny, and it comes out that Slim had started college but had to drop out due to money problems. Phil, the seemingly crude boss, was the substitute dad at the wedding. The next scene shows Slim's dream home and Mitch pressuring the homeowner, who said that the house wasn't on the market, to sell the house by threatening him with being a crazy, determined person who will make his life miserable until he sells the house, and giving the owner a check with an above-the-market amount on it for the house. Then he and Slim move into the dream home. Mitch is quick to want kids, and the next scene shows him at a meeting with clients but dropping everything to be at the hospital when Slim delivers their baby girl. He appears as the loving husband and doting father as he cuddles the baby and ignores a business call. There's a scene where they have a family day at the beach, but Mitch looks distant and antsy. Mitch is a true psychopath. This movie is a great illustration of the many faces of a psychopath. Mitch isn't a complex character who is very human, as some may argue. Some may dwell on his love for his daughter and dedication to giving his wife a nice home. But psychopaths use good deeds or good things as a mask or to mask their sadistic nature. Good guy Mitch, as an adoring husband that wants to make his wife happy, tells the homeowner he really wants to buy the house. But when that didn't work, he became bad guy Mitch, a determined crazy person who will make another person miserable until he gets what he wants. When good guy Mitch didn't get what he wanted, bad guy Mitch offered the advantage of pushing the boundaries with covert threats. If the homeowner had stood his ground, bad guy Mitch would have followed through with making the homeowner miserable with legal or barely legal methods that pushed the social boundaries enough to get the results he wanted without exposing him as a bad guy. Some people would have excused his potential antics as a devoted husband trying to make his wife happy by buying her dream home. After all, he offered an overly generous amount for the house, so he wasn't trying to cheat the homeowner. The homeowner was also a senior citizen whose kids had grown up and moved out of the house. Mitch and his wife, on the other hand, was a young couple just starting out and who would raise a family in that house. Maybe the house had sentimental value. Maybe it had been inherited for generations, or whatever reason. It was the homeowner's home, and he shouldn't have to sell it unless that's what he wanted. Mitch had no right to pressure or threaten to make his life miserable until the house was sold. I'm focusing more on Mitch than explaining how this pertains to TIs right now because this movie gives a rare peek at how normal, lovable, attractive, and respectable a psychopath can appear to the unwitting target and others. The SBP network is full of psychopaths, so it'll become clearer how they can stalk and hurt TIs, even in public, and the audience or bystanders wouldn't know. The next scene shows Mitch taking a shower and declining Slim's offer to join him. Slim is upset while washing the dishes when Mitch's pager goes off. She calls the number back and a female voice picks up saying, "Hi darling, where are you?" She is shocked to hear Slim's voice respond. She is tongue-tied, but Slim catches on quick and asks her name. And the female says it's Darcel, apologizes, and hangs up. Slim is stunned. When Mitch finishes his shower and goes downstairs to get back to work for the evening, Slim lets him know that Darcel called and said he must be late to go to see her. Mitch doesn't deny it, but tells Slim that Darcel's not important. He says that Slim and their daughter are who is important. Slim is crying, upset, and muttering about how she thought they were happy and lucky, and that she was lucky. Slim reminds Mitch that he said that she was safe with him. He apologizes, reassures her that she is safe with him, and that everything will be okay. The next scene shows her hugging him on a different day and smelling another female's perfume on him. She says she's fed up. He explains how their sex life is great, but he's a man, and men and women have different needs, and Darcel is willing to take care of those needs, and that arrangement may be best for everybody. Slim gets upset and complains. Mitch is rolling his eyes while watching her until she says she's not going to take it anymore. He slaps her, and she's shocked. He says, "What, I can't hit you?" She gets herself together and says adamantly, "No, you can't." He punches her in the face, and she falls to the ground. She's in shock, and he bends over her and says, "You want to fight?" He says how he's a man and it's no contest, and since he makes the money, he makes the rules. She asks what if she doesn't like the rules. She says, "What if I don't like the rules?" He patronizes her by saying life has ups and downs and she has to take the good with the bad. Tomorrow might be a great day, but today is the price she pays for having such a good life. Then he tells her he has to go out. He says how it's better this way because he doesn't have to sneak around anymore and pretend he's going to work. He could just say he's going to Darcel's and will be back in a few hours. Then he goes into her purse, takes her driver's license and car keys, saying it's just in case she decides to do something she might regret. She picks up the phone to call someone when she thinks he drove away. He knocks on the window and asks who she was calling. Then he tells her how he loves her, refuses to live without her, and he thinks she knows what he means by that. The next day, Slim drives to Mitch's mother's house and shows her the bruises. His mother is apologetic and affectionate, but then says, "What did you do? What did you say to him?" Slim goes to the diner and talks to Ginny about what happened. Her friend rattles off uncomfortably. Slim says that she's not the type of girl who gets beat up by her husband and asks her friend what she should do. Slim's friend tells her to go to the cops. Slim gets upset, grabs her bags to leave, and angrily tells her friend that Mitch is the father of her child and she's not going to put him in jail. Her friend apologizes and asks her to sit down. She tells Slim that she can either put up with the abuse or take her daughter and leave. Slim goes to pick up her daughter, but Mitch beats her to it. She's frantic and worried about her little girl's whereabouts. At dinner that night, he mentioned how she made him nervous when he couldn't reach her by phone. He asks her why she went crying to her old friends at the diner. He also asks whatever happened to privacy. He warns her how bad it can get. He says how he's a determined man. He was determined to have her, and he got her, the house, and he got it, and his company, and he got that. He says he will always be someone who gets what he wants. Mitch gives Slim an ultimatum. He says he still wants her, and she could either accept it or fight it. He asks her which way she wants to go. She says she wants to be happy. Psychopaths use children as weapons. They know children have a protected place in society and try to use that to get the results they want. Mitch used their daughter to hold his wife hostage and ensure her loyalty. Picking up his daughter from school unexpectedly was a veiled threat to his wife that he could take the child and go whenever he wants without notice. He was also quick to have kids because he wanted to use maternal dedication to the offspring as leverage to make Slim hesitate to leave him or to use it to extend her loyalty to the child to him. Not leaving for the sake of the child, not reporting him for the sake of the child, or keeping up appearances for the child's sake. Mitch wanted to leverage her loyalty as a way to have her accept his abuse. Similar to Miss Mellon refusing to tell the cops about her husband, even though he was extremely psychologically and emotionally abusive to her. Also, Mitch's mother was blaming Slim right off the bat when she asked Slim what she did or said. It implied that Slim must have said or did something to make Mitch hit her. It's clear that Mitch isn't a complex character who is very human. His sadistic personality shouldn't be romanticized as such. Mitch is inhuman. Mitch is not madly in love with his wife to the point where he can't live without her. Mitch is madly in love with getting any and everything he wants, including people. There's nothing wrong with going after and getting what you want, but when it comes to people, it has to be a mutual agreement. You own things, not people. It's okay to persuade or woo someone, but Mitch goes beyond that. He threatens, abuses, and forces people to do what he wants, and he doesn't respect their right to say no, reject his offers, or go for what they want. The TI has to deal with a network full of Mitches. Mitches of all genders, ages, socioeconomic status, educational backgrounds, ethnicities, etc. All these Mitches have organized to form a psychopath network that terrorizes whoever they choose. The next scene shows Slim at the police station asking questions about what would happen to her and her child if she reported her husband. The cop explains what would happen, but she leaves when he says that she has to prove that her husband is a danger to the child in order to prevent him from seeing the child. She probably can't prove that because he comes across as a doting father and her daughter absolutely adores him. Slim decides to run away with her daughter. Her old friends at the diner help her, but as she is sneaking out in the middle of the night, Mitch wakes up and beats her up. Her friends rush in and he has a gun pointed at them, threatening to kill them if they don't leave. Phil, her substitute father, says he will report Mitch to the cops, but Mitch threatens to plant drugs in Slim's car or somewhere else so that he could gain custody of their daughter by the end of the week. When Mitch is distracted, Phil grabs Gracie, the daughter, wakes her up, and tells her to look at her daddy. Mitch hides the gun behind his back and pretends to be nice again. They keep Gracie watching her father as they leave the house. Mitch warns Slim that he'll see her soon, and they leave. Mitch freezes all her accounts so she has no money for hotels. Ginny rents Slim and Gracie a motel room. Mitch calls Slim at the motel room and wants to talk. He found her by tracing her friend's credit card purchases. He then says if they do it the hard way, Gracie, their daughter, will get hurt, and he knows she doesn't want Gracie tainted by what's happening. Slim had just gotten off the phone with her friend and used the word tainted during that conversation. Then there's a knock at the door. Mitch breaks down the door, but Slim and Gracie get out through the glass door. They run and just barely make a bus with Mitch in a hot pursuit. The bus drives off and Mitch is angry. Slim takes a flight to Los Angeles to Joe, her ex-boyfriend's place. She didn't think that Mitch would suspect her of going there, but that same day, guys pretending to be the FBI investigating a kidnapping show up with a fake warrant that they wouldn't let Joe see. He threatens to call the cops, but one of the fake agents grabs the phone away from him. They trash his place, and he tells them to leave. He says he knows that they're not the FBI and knows who hired them. At this, one of them pulls a knife, grabs him from behind, and puts the knife at his throat, threatening to kill him. The leader of the pack tells the guy not to do it, and they leave without finding Slim and Gracie, who are hiding. Mitch soon after calls and threatens Joe. Slim doesn't want to put Joe in danger, so she leaves and goes to San Francisco to see Jupiter, her long-lost real father. He doesn't believe that she's his daughter and offers her $12 for public transportation and a sandwich. She leaves without taking the money and gives him back a necklace that he had given her as a child. In the next scene, she is in northern Michigan, where friends of Phil find her a place to stay. She and Gracie are eating at soup kitchens. She changes her name, appearance, and seems to have found a job. A package comes from Jupiter saying that some guys threatened to kill him if he helped her in any way. It was the same fake FBI guys. Jupiter helps her anyway by sending money to her old work address for her and offering further assistance. It's enough for her to buy a small house. She allows Gracie to talk to Mitch's mother by driving 55 miles away to a payphone to prevent tracing. The grandmother tells Slim to talk to Mitch or allow Gracie to talk to Mitch. Slim calls Mitch and allows him to talk to Gracie. He starts asking where they've been, and Slim grabs the phone and tells him not to ask questions. Slim hands Gracie the phone, but Mitch thinks she is still on and starts cursing her out. Gracie hears and is sad. Mitch realizes what happened and apologizes to his daughter, who doesn't want to talk to him. This is an example of stalking by proxy. Mitch wasn't there at Joe's apartment, but he found out where Slim was and hired people to go after and terrorize her. Those same guys continued to stalk Slim, her loved ones, and threatened people so that they don't help her. Mitch indirectly stalked her by using other people to do his dirty work. This is part of stalking by proxy. Similarly, TIs are stalked, terrorized, harassed, abused, assaulted, etc. by members of the SBP network and their accomplices. TI's friends and family are also harassed and threatened to not help the TI. Like Slim, this forces the TI into isolation and constantly moving to avoid the stalkers. Similar to Slim, some TIs may not reach out to their family or friends for fear of endangering them. Or some family or friends may cut ties with the TI out of fear of the SBP network. This leaves the TI in a vulnerable position of having little to no allies or assistance if the SBP network sets them up or attacks. Similar to Slim, TIs are at a high chance of homelessness, starvation, malnutrition, unemployment, and underemployment due to the stresses that come along with the stalking. Mitch also threatened to use the legal system against Slim by portraying her as a drug addict to gain custody of their daughter. In the same way, members of the SBP network make false accusations and manipulate the legal system against the TI. It's important to remember that Mitch is terrorizing his own family. A psychopath is loyal to no one but him or herself. It is easy for a spouse, boyfriend or girlfriend, baby's mother or father, lover, friend, business partner, relative, or anyone else close to the psychopath to become a TI for any reason. The only person who is safe around a psychopath is the psychopath, him or herself. Mitch has his detective friend Robbie trace the call and go after Slim. The detective is the fake admirer from the beginning. It turns out that he and Mitch scammed females with the act for fun. He advises Mitch to let Slim go and forget about her, but Mitch threatens him. Robbie finds out where Gracie and Slim are and tells Mitch. Mitch goes to Slim's new home, says he wants her back, and that it'll be just like it used to be. She says no, and he says if he can't have her, no one can. He starts choking and abusing Slim. Gracie tried to help, but he pushed her to the ground. Slim and Gracie manage to get away. It turns into a high-speed car chase with Robbie helping Mitch. Robbie tries to run her off the road and rams his SUV into her sedan. She gets away and switches cars. Slim goes to a lawyer who advises her that it's too late because she gave up the 2 opportunities to have Mitch's abuse documented. At an upcoming custody hearing, Mitch would probably portray her as a drug addict, gain sole custody of Gracie, and then find her after she leaves the court and kill her. Slim sends Gracie to stay with Ginny and takes some kind of street fighting martial arts training to protect herself. Slim goes to Mitch's new house, they get into a fight, and she beats him up. Some members of the audience may ask, why doesn't the TI just go to the cops or report it to the authorities? Many TIs have tried to do just that, only to find that members of law enforcement are involved. This isn't to say that all members are involved, but some are active members of the SBP network who are notified when TIs seek assistance from their department and will be there to take the case or try to mess things up for the TI. Unfortunately, law enforcement can be used in a stalking by proxy campaign against a TI. Mitch used Robbie, a police detective, to set up, stalk, and terrorize Slim. Note that even though Robbie helped Mitch with his scams, terrorizing, and stalking, Mitch was still ready to turn on him just to get what he wanted. There is no honor among thieves, and a psychopath is loyal to no one but him or herself. There are different kinds of setups. Miss Mellon was set up by her husband to look like a crazy woman to prove the false rumors and hide his own insanity. Slim was about to be set up by her husband to look like a drug addict. However, in the beginning, Mitch sets her up so that he could easily or more easily enter her life. It was also a deceptive shortcut to gaining her trust, affection, and respect, though he deserved none of it. He and Robbie used a sort of good cop, or good guy, bad guy ploy. His friend played the bad guy, and Mitch played the good guy. TIs are constantly approached by fake people sent to infiltrate their lives to gain more information and have a closer reach to the TI. Not everybody that approaches, tries to befriend or assist the TI is out to get them, but TIs need to be aware and prepared for the wolves in sheep's clothing. Males and females of childbearing age. Do not have kids until you have some assurance that your mate isn't a psychopath or something similar. You probably can't be 100% sure, but be at least 90% sure and prepare for the worst. Especially you females out there who are quick to get married and have kids. There is the family that a person is born into and can't change, but nature allows someone to choose a new family through childbearing. Married or not, you and your mate are not blood relatives until you have a child together. After that, you are officially and irrevocably relatives. Before then, you can just walk away with a clean cut and no binding ties except being exes, which can be as meaningful or meaningless as you want it to be. Choose your second blood family wisely. It's just a movie, but there are domestic violence shelters filled with broken families whose lives have been destroyed by a psychopathic mate. Learn about psychopaths and ways to identify them so that you can avoid, or you have a better chance of avoiding and or neutralizing interactions or relationships with these dangerous individuals.